Uh, as such, the two scholars from the Harvard Business School uh, have uh, has given us their insight for the CSR, and from their perspective, CSR can be understood by four prevailing justifications. So the reasons why they can stand on such a basis. Okay, they have summarized these justifications for CSR as four. Okay, four factors like moral appeal and moral obligation, sustainability, license to operate, reputation. So uh, they uh, they listen to whatever the CSR activists are saying, and they came to conclude that in some, as a result, they are summarized like four justifications. So they are asserting all the CSR agenda from moral obligation, sustainability, license to operate, and reputation. And for each one of them, these two scholars are raising some issues. Okay, the real life issues. Okay, and uh, so they are here. Okay, so there's some balancing issues. Okay, balancing issues, and because extreme does not hold in the real life. Okay, and sustainability, for the sustainability, the concept is very vague, so they cannot find out the real contents in the real life. So vague as to be meaningless. So if that is so vague, that means it's meaningless. Okay. So anyhow, they are saying all those things on the vague basis, and the actual corporate managers couldn't understand what they are saying actually in reality. And the third is the notion of license to operate. Okay, but that means that if they can avoid the pressure groups, okay, for short term, uh, nobody cares about the long term effect actually. So it is kind of bribery to the social activist. So he's not saying they are not saying this kind of this way, but from the as a reader, I can conclude that they are talking about some kind of social bribery. Okay, and they accept the pressure groups, the existence of pressure groups, and they may give some money or resources they the to the pressure groups, but uh, that is a minimal value to society as a whole. Actually, the society is not giving good effect from these pressure groups. Okay, and there's no meaning, no strategic benefit for the business itself. Then they are saying that it's also meaningless. And about the reputation concern, okay, this is a pragmatic advice to the corporation that the CSR can give your company improvement of a company's image, strength, strength to its brand, enlivenment of morale, and even raising the value of the stock. So they are emphasizing the positive value to the company, to the corporation. But this is indirect and unmeasurable. Okay, and they are not sure whether they can persuade their shareholders on this ground alone. Okay, so that's they're pointing the real life environment, okay, of CSR. So, but anyhow, they understand there's some kind of tension between business and society on the corporate social responsibility. So they are trying to find out a good golden mean, okay, between these two parties, okay, and they'd like to maintain their control of the CSR agenda, okay, and that is CSV, So we are going to learn about the CSV later, maybe 2 weeks later, and they are presenting the ways to solve this kind of tensions between two parties. So, so at lastly, so to persuade the shareholders, they have to rationalize the cost they are spending on the social activities. Okay, so there should be some good net present value of the activities economically. Okay, so we have to talk about the socially responsible actions and its benefit uh, to the firms. Okay, to the firm financial benefits to the firms, and so as a conclusion, conclusive, conclusively, we can reach that there is a slight positive correlation between corporate social performance and corporate financial performance. They accept there's some good relationship, positive relationship between corporate social performance and corporate financial performance, but the strength is just a slight positive. Okay, but it is unclear which way the causality goes. They don't know how it works. Okay, they accept that there's some kind of good result, positive results of the good social corporate performance, but they don't know how through which route such a factors work. Okay? So there are so many researches concerning these issues, and one of the issues I'd like to cover is the your paper. Okay, this is a excerpt from a paper, and there is a very famous and representative paper of this issue, and that is the link between CSR and corporate value. So they'd like to find out whether and how investments in stakeholders uh, relations impact a firm's profitability. So they'd like to know about this issue, and there are so many papers, so many studies about this subject, and we can summarize the results by three. Okay, by three. One is the positive relation theory and uh, positive relation findings, okay, and negative relation findings, and lower negligible relation findings, okay. So there are so many researches under these findings, okay. So first one is the positive relation uh, finding. This is what we really want to have, okay. This result is coincides with our childhood fairy tales. The good pays, the bad, the good pay, and the bad people have to pay for their misdeeds. Okay, they should be punished. So this is very coincides with our emotional understanding. So companies engage with the stakeholders for value enhancing purposes. This view is sometimes referred to as doing well by doing good. Okay, so this is a fairy tale style case. So they are doing well, and they are going to be doing good. Okay, and under this value enhancing view of CSR, so they are saying that CSR is enhancing the values of a corporation. Okay, managers engage with the stakeholders simply because such projects are deemed to have positive net present value, and thus positive use of our CSR should be received favorably by shareholders. So uh, managers, okay, managers as a servant of the shareholders. Okay, they are not the principal; they are the agent, and they should calculate the net present value about all the decisions they are making, especially for financial decisions. Whenever are ex- they are they are spending the corporate money. They have to have rational. They have to rationalize their decisions on the NPV rule. That means the what whatever activities they take in the corporations, the result should have some kind of positive net present value for the shareholders, okay, owners. And thus, positive news about CSR, if they hear the shareholders listen some kind of a positive news about CSR, they can think automatically that it is a good news for the shareholders. Okay, and and there are so many empirical studies. For example, some of them provided evidence of risk-adjusted excess returns for portfolio comprising firms with high employee satisfaction. Okay, so he is relating the high employee satisfaction with uh, the the CSR activity. Okay, so this may be the some kind of proxy variable of CSR. Okay, employee satisfaction, and he's saying that that means that if you invest your money into the companies with high employee satisfaction, you are going to make excess returns. Okay, of course, risk adjusted, and the other scholars show that the portfolios of companies with strong environmental responsibility generate risk-adjusted excess returns. Okay, so they are saying that the environmental friendly corporations are going to generate excess returns, though they are spending money on the untangible assets. Okay, like protecting environment, but it is actually accepted as a favorable use in the stock market. So if you invest your money into these kind of companies, you can make money. That is what they say. And the others, there are also other researches that portfolio comprising funds with strong CSR policies perform better than portfolios consisting of weak CSR companies. Okay, so there are strong CSR company and weak CSR companies. So the strong CSR companies with CSR policies, okay, they're going to get higher return, okay, from their portfolios. And there's also one study that who shows they showed a positive link between a firm's financial and corporate sustainability performance. Okay, they found that there is a positive link between a firm's financial and corporate sustainability performances. And what I can say from my experience in the CSR field is that actually good companies, financially good companies, can uh, are spending and can spend more money on the social issues. But for those who do not have much money, uh, they cannot spend their money on the on such a peripheral activities like CSR. Okay, then uh, the causality may be adverse. Okay, and sometimes I think that the company with company that is doing good is also doing well. So I'm not sure about the conclusions, but anyhow, this is uh, very good news. Okay, for the CSR activist. Okay, and there's also there are also negative relation report. Okay, so CSR primarily benefits managers who, at the expense of shareholders, okay, earn a good reputation among key stakeholders. For example, local politicians, non-governmental organizations, or labor unions. Actually, this theory means that the managers are not doing their best for the shareholders, but they have some relationship with their uh, key stakeholders. Okay, and they are spending money on these useless activities. They are saying that. Consequently, this agency perspective implies that positive news about CSR is bad news for the shareholders. So when the shareholders hear from the news that their investment companies, the companies are spending their money on this kind of activities, they cannot but think that the managers uh, actually in extreme cases betraying, okay, uh, the shareholders, okay, and they are squandering the company money on the meaningless and the vague purposes, and that's what they say. And some of the researchers have found that SRI funds or SRI screened portfolios underperform. And personally, uh, I love this kind of idea of positive relationship, okay, between social value and financial value. But I believe as a uh, finance student, you must have learned the CAPM, capital asset pricing model, and there you have learned that the best portfolio in this world is the market portfolio that comprises all the uh, assets inside, okay, proportionately uh, of their proportionate of their asset value. So that has been mathematically proved, and uh, from this perspective, uh, any portfolio uh, without some traits, okay, or without some market, okay, without some without some traits, okay, they cannot get the kind of uh, profitability, okay, as the market portfolios, and that is very natural, and that can be mathematically proved, okay. So, and in reality, I think I believe this must be true. So later we are going to see whether this is true. And there's the third party findings that the no or negligible relations. So there are so many researchers find no performance differences between SRA mutual fund and the conventional ones. Okay, and I think this is also development because uh, in in such a case, the in such a case, the portfolio return should be lower than the market portfolio. But anyhow, they are doing as good as the market portfolio. So I think this is also good news. Okay, so on average, this paper concludes that uh, these guys conducted a meta-analysis of many such empirical studies and conclude that the average relation between CSR and profitability is positive but small. Yes. So they accept it as a conclusion. They are saying that there's some positive relationship, but the amount is minimal but small. Okay. Anyhow, there's some kind of good relationship between the social performance and financial performance. Okay, and I think this bodes well for the future of the CSR fund. Okay, anyhow, there's good relationship. Okay, and actually they are the portfolio will be hurt by the selection. Okay, and they cannot get the kind of risk-adjusted performance of market portfolio. Still, they are doing well, and I think this is a strong contention. Okay, for the CSR, not against the CSR. So this is a very interesting research paper. Okay, summary paper. Okay, and later I think if we have chances, we are going to study these papers one by one. Okay.